Ladies and gentlemen, give it up for Joe Bob Briggs. And he's not alone, everybody. And he's also not alone, because we got another guest for tonight's screening. Director Jeff Lieberman.
Okay, welcome everybody. Welcome, Jeff. Here's what we're going to do.
Yeah.
Who's ready to watch a 1981 slasher?
Yeah!
Okay, now. Who's ready to watch a 1981 homage to Deliverance? All right. At the end of this movie, you're going to tell us, was it a slasher? Was it an homage to Deliverance? And so, because there has been a little controversy about where the movie came from. Now, let me talk about that just a little bit. After the movie Halloween came out in 1978, everybody wanted to duplicate the success. I mean, the numbers were unprecedented. And I mean, the largest, did anybody see Grizzly? Yeah. Okay. The largest independent film in history prior to Halloween was Grizzly. Okay. And not that many people went to Grizzly. You know, a lot of people went to Grizzly, but not as many as went to Halloween. So, in 1978, Halloween comes out. It has numbers that are confusing to everyone in Hollywood because they're going, we have never seen numbers like this on a horror film. So what happens? 9,700 people start making horror films. And because it can be done... 9,700, yes. But, it might have been an homage to Deliverance. Jeff. Okay. So by 1980, it took them a while to get financing, took them a while to get their deals set up with the distributors. But for the first time in history, you had like a total mom and pop kind of business in Hollywood. You didn't really have the big studios. You didn't have Paramount and Fox and Universal and Columbia wading in and saying, hey, we want a piece of that. They basically said, we're turning our backs on this. We think this is a one-time thing. So you have a mom and pop business. You have a lot of people who have never been in horror. They may have been in porn. They may have been they may not have been in the film industry at all. They may have been in dentistry. They may have been in whatever. It's now you have this mom and pop business, and they're trying to raise, in some cases, $5 million to make the film. In some cases, $50,000 to make the film. It just depends on what their aspirations are, where they're getting the script, what they're trying to do. And so from 1978, when Halloween comes out, to about 1980, you have all this activity. You have all this indie film activity. This is the big chance for indie films. And so by the more so-called slashers, or so-called, all right, we'll call them slashers. So more slashers came out in the year 1981 than any other year in history. And so many of them that we can't show them all on the last time in. We discover new ones all the time. Now, Jeff here made a film called Just Before Dawn that has been gaining cult status over the recent years, but partly because it was lost in the big miasma of all these films, all these horror films that came out in 1981 and played the drive-ins and played the grindhouses. And this particular film started with a script that was commissioned by a man who was trying to get out of the porn business and into the legitimate film business. And he commissioned a script, and that script was rewritten several times, and there were arguments about how it should be written and how it should be rewritten. And I think I think actually, Jeff, I haven't asked you about this, but I think you actually were one of the ghostwriters on your own script, right? Did you eventually ghostwrite ghostwrite a new script from the old script?
It wasn't even I just said my nephew. I named it after my nephew, Greg Irving. His name is Greg, and my father had passed away at that time, so his name was Irving. So Greg Irving, but people figured out.
Yeah. Okay. So like many names on the internet, Greg Irving doesn't exist.
Right.
That's Jeff for some reason, probably some sleazy reason. Jeff, probably some reason to avoid. You're either avoiding a union, or you're avoiding a tax, or you're avoiding a fee.
Union.
Okay, you're avoiding a union, and so after 3 or 4 iterations of this script, which starts out in the mountains of Tennessee and is about snake handling, the script becomes a movie set in the forests of Eastern Oregon.
Yeah, Cascade Mountains.
The Cascade Mountains, and the snake handlers are gone, and so what I want us to vote on after the film is over is does this movie belong to the pantheon of what we call slasher films, and we'll talk about what constitutes a slasher film, or is it something else, or is it some other kind of genre all of its own? I don't want to do any spoilers on it. We'll do a Q&A with Jeff after the movie. You can say anything you want to, Jeff. You can jump in at any time, but I think after the movie we'll do a Q&A. We'll talk about the background of the movie. We'll talk about where it fits in your career. Jeff had done 2 prior films that were excellent, both excellent. Squirm. Have you guys seen Squirm? And Blue Sunshine. You seen Blue Sunshine? These are frequently revived films now. And then he wised up, got out of the indie film business, and went over to TV and made big money, and actually got an Emmy Award for his documentary on the boxer Sonny Liston, documentary that played on HBO. And then Jeff and I have been trading horse racing stories, and so he went to the track a lot, and then and then after a certain number of years, he wrote The Never Ending Story 3, and but Jeff, you made so much money you could spend the rest of your life going to the track, but you still got projects today, so your career has stretched over 70s, 80s, 90s, 2 more decades, 6 decades, 6-decade career for Jeff Lieberman. So we will discuss the movie after it's over. Be prepared to contribute your own comments on the slasher controversy. And by the way, the word slasher did not exist in 1981. The word slasher is something later created by critics to describe a certain type of film. There had only been...
They back-branded it like heavy metal. They didn't call Grand Funk Railroad. They didn't call Led Zeppelin. They just said, let's put together a metal band. It was only like 10 years later that it was all grouped. The same thing with slasher. They grouped it, categorized it, pigeonholed it. I hate that.
Well, you're talking to the wrong crowd, Jeff. Because when we say you want to see a slasher, everyone goes, "Oh yeah, man, yes." So anyway, let's watch the movie, and then afterwards, everyone's going to vote, and then we're going to discuss the movie, and then we're going to party all night. And Darcy, I'm going to ask you first. I'm going to have you be the first vote.
This is your very short intro, by the way.
Okay.
Oh yeah, he said we'll do a short, like, a couple of sentences.
Okay. Enjoy the movie. There's only a single reel change in the 16mm version of it. However, it gives me a chance to do the drive-in film. Yeah! 6 dead bodies. These are going to be spoilers.
Spoiler.
guys. 2 breasts. We've already seen them. 1 dead deer. 1 exploding pickup truck. Machete through the groin. That's pretty good, right? Multiple warnings not to go up there. 1 scenic waterfall. 1 practical joke with angry girlfriend. 1 mysterious singing girl. Lots of inbred hill folk. 1 body down the waterfall. Attempted mouth-to-mouth resuscitation. Machete to the stomach. Tree chopping. Fist down the throat. Gratuitous rope bridge crossing with no result. Gratuitous roll down the hill. Gratuitous dancing around the campfire. Machete foo, fist foo. Drive-In Academy Award nominations for, as if I'm not mistaken, Academy Award winning George Kennedy. As Forest Ranger Roy McLean for grafting a bonsai tree for no apparent reason. And for saying, keep breeding in the same family long enough, I guess something's bound to snap. Greg Henry as Warren for discounting his girlfriend Connie's fears and for saying, nothing out there but God's little creatures. Katie Powell as Hill Girl Mary Cat Logan for creatively applying makeup and for saying, no more murdering. Deborah Benson as Connie for being the final girl and for saying, I was like a frightened little baby last night. And of course, I don't think it was a spoiler to tell you which one is the final girl to you. And of course, to director Jeff Lieberman for doing things the proper way. Is that enough time to change the reel? You good? Okay, roll it. Okay. Jeff Lieberman! Darcy, you were going to vote. Slasher or not slasher?
It's a slasher. Sorry. Such a slasher. Own it, man.
Okay. Jeff,
Yeah.
there's a psychopath in the woods. There's 5 people that go into the woods from the city.
Yeah.
There's a warning not to go into the woods.
I know where you're going.
There are
with
all
it.
kinds of creepy
I know
woods
where you're
people.
going. In my defense, sir, that all these tropes.
Yes.
We never used the word tropes back then, and everybody says, "Oh, it's one of those kids in the woods moving around." Name the ones. This was shot in 1979. Name the movies that were the things that you just described.
No, I'm saying
All of them came after. Everybody ripped off just before dawn.
Let me ask you about the title. We only learned why it's called Just Before Dawn in the last 5 seconds of the movie. What did you go with? Where were you going with that title?
Well, the original title was The Last Ritual.
Okay.
The snake rituals. And since I took out all the religious shit, all the snakes, they were supposed to force a marriage. I mean, I wish I had that original script, but they get married in a snake ritual. So anyway, so then I need a title. So I figured if I frame the movie in one day that it's going to go into the dawn, through the night, then all this shit's going to happen just before dawn. Hence the title. Pretty clever, huh?
I'll say this again. Every reviewer who has ever talked about this movie has praised the cinematography, has praised those nature shots. This is an extremely faded 16 millimeter print, and of course 16 millimeter always cuts off part of the 35 millimeter print.
And so we're kind of watching the worst possible version of this that we could watch.
Sound is beyond hideous, what you just said.
Yeah, there's a beautiful Blu-ray available of this.
Why don't we have two mics?
I don't know.
Just slow budget?
Hold on. We got it. Yeah.
I mean, I love you, man, but, you know. The score was done by Brad Fidel. Who's Brad Fidel? He did Terminator right after this.
Bought the soundtrack this morning.
Oh, yeah? So, Brad...
Were you the one who cheered for the music? Yeah, okay.
Brad used, I think he got 10 grand back then. He bought a synthesizer. He lived in Soho in an artist loft, and he did the score. And I worked with him, you know. And then Cameron saw this, and he used that synthesizer he used on this to do the Terminator. It's a little bit.
Wow.
Yeah.
What was your budget, Jeff?
Like $1 million.
$1.1 million, and yet, and what? How did you get George Kennedy to be in the movie?
Well, here's the thing. I didn't get George Kennedy. He came like this producer, Czechoslovakian producer. He says, he calls me up and he says, "Are you the Jeff Lieberman that did the Squirms?" So I said, "Yeah." He says, "So you'll come and you'll do for us?" That was, you know, I thought it was one of my friends, you know, pulling a gag. And it turned out this guy won an Academy Award for Closely Watched Trains. He produced that. And I loved their motorcycles, and they were real. So he says, "We have the George Kennedy and the Linda Blair." Right? So I go, "Well, okay, so you want me to direct?" And then they gave me the script, and they said, "It's already approved by foreign." You know, you have to get a back then, you know, approved directors. Probably 7 guys turned it down before me because they read the script. And I happened to see Linda Blair at one of these chiller things. She was across from me and everything. And I asked her, she didn't know anything. They never approached her. They just put her in. It's like Linda Blair and but George Kennedy. They somehow got him. So the way they worked it out is that he took a camper instead of flying first class. He took a camper with his family to Orza, right? And then pocketed the money. He worked out some financial.
Did he get a big check for that? Role?
I don't know.
You don't know.
Yeah.
Well, so they claimed they were going to have a Linda Blair for the Connie role, but who was the actress that played? I didn't notice that any of these actors went on to huge careers.
Well, George, Greg Henry's pretty.
Yeah.
And Chris Lemmon, that's Jack Lemmon's son.
Right.
Yeah, and
But
he did
the
something. Hulk Hogan. What he did with Hulk Hogan? He did a series.
right. But the Connie character.
That's Deborah Benson. She was one of those victims of her husband. She got married, and her husband said, "I don't want you to be an actress." I thought she was terrific.
Yeah. So no future films for her. To me, the most original part of the story is the twins. Is you have twin psychopaths. Yeah, not just a machete-wielding psychopath, but twins who have decided sometime in
You get 2.
their early life to be machete-wielding psychopaths together as a family.
Well, you know, genetically, if they're identical twins.
And that's what they're going to do.
Yeah.
Okay.
Like one's not going to be a doctor, and the other one's going to go around with
Jeff, you don't strike me as the camping type. So, where are
I
you?
beg your pardon.
Are you the camping type? It's like, I mean, you're from Brooklyn, right?
I was at Woodstock.
You were at Woodstock and you're from Brooklyn. Okay, that didn't qualify as being for the camping type. All right, so how do you end up in this beautiful place in Oregon? But probably was it as rough wilderness as it looks like?
Yeah, Mount St. Helens. We went to the airport to scout locations, and we get to LAX, and it says flight canceled because of volcano. And I thought, what is it, April 1st? No, April Fool's? Did you ever see a volcano as a canceled thing? And it was true.
So it was right at the time of Mount St. Helens?
2 weeks later, went up to scout, and it looked like a snowstorm. It was like this thick of ash.
You went up there right after the
2 weeks
eruption? We got to shoot this movie. It's more important than safety of anyone.
Well, Chris Lennon goes around telling people that it went off while we were shooting. I said, Chris, it sounded a great story, but no. But the ash was like snow, so my DP, Joel King, who shot this, he's going around with little film cans and filling them up about ash. That's what he said, this stuff comes from like thousands of miles underground, and it's going to be worth a fortune, like coke, and he was a cokehead too. I said, Joel, step back. See all this? There's like miles of 2 inches of this, right? It's not going to be worth shit.
So Jeff, you were during around the time that you were making this. You made this in 79 or 80?
79.
You made it in 79. So you made this prior to Friday the 13th.
That's the funny thing, is because yes, I didn't know anything about Friday the 13th. Nobody said slasher, and then when Friday the 13th came out, I was in the cutting room. So this Lotto guy that do the squirms says we must make like Friday the 13th because he's making $1 zillion.
He's telling you to edit it like Friday the 13th?
And it doesn't work that way. And they brought in another editor afterwards to juice it up. So there's cues in there that Brad didn't do. Brad fucked up. Really pissed him off. And there was nothing I could do about it. It's not my money. I paid. And
did they add kills?
no, we didn't shoot anything more. It's just
okay.
cutting. Yeah. And but you can't make it into that. It's not shot that. It's not a slasher. You know what I mean? It doesn't have the rhythm of Friday the 13th is about, where's the cat? Oh, well, you got 16 guys out there with machine guns or machetes and all. Meow. Oh, I think the cat's outside. I'm going to go outside to get fucking killed in a new way that you've never seen before. That's what these movies are. It's like, gee, I never saw anybody decapitated that way. Nobody would go outside looking for the cat. They do things that nobody would ever do.
So you have only, you
Go look for makeup.
and you only have, oh yeah, talk about gratuitous makeup application. it's like you got at least 5 minutes of footage of people putting on makeup.
Do you know Gael Garcia Bernal, the actor? Yeah, he's really good at motorcycle. He's from Mexico City. Anyway, I met him at a party, and he goes, "Did you do just before dawn?" I said, and he goes, "I found my caramel cream." This was he and his girlfriend. They watched the movie just to get to that line.
It got a laugh tonight. And so this was kind of your last horror film, right? You went into other things. You went into bigger and better.
Yeah, but when I did Six Little Helper, that's...
Well, okay, Six Little Helper, but that was many years later, right?
Yeah, way later.
And so, was this a good experience for you?
Yeah.
Yeah?
Yeah, the only thing is that... how many kids were there? 5?
5.
All right, so 2 of them were flat-out alcoholics, and the other one just drank too much. So one, it got clear, when you're out there, it's like, they're in summer camp. Summer camp? And so one time they all came in, their eyes were red, they stunk from booze, and I sent them all home, and I lost a day.
Wow.
So
You're talking about your main cast. You had 2 alcoholics and one that just
Yeah,
liked
and-
alcohol a
and
lot.
just- and they just- and they just, I mean, yeah. Oh, we're really sorry. I mean, there's professional. Who's behind the day? Not them, me.
Yeah.
It's like I said to Joel, the DP, like, let's shoot some trees and waterfalls.
Well, they were like partying in the woods up there, or
No,
what?
they were partying at the hotel.
There was a hotel.
No, it was Salem. See, that's
Salem,
another thing.
Oregon. Okay.
No, what we had to do is go from Salem every day to the location, and that was another thing. That the honey wagon and everything else was on the road, and then we're shooting in this wilderness. So I realized that the guys, you can go anywhere unless you get to. Do we say number 1 and 2? But the women, they're all going up to the thing. It's a round trip. It's like a half hour.
A half hour to use the restroom?
Yeah. So I got on the megaphone and I said, from now on, pee where you be. That was just, go in the woods, nobody cares. Otherwise, we couldn't have done the movie.
Was there a moment where you got pissed off at your alcoholic cast and you said, all 5 of you are going down that ravine?
If it was the last day of shooting, I would have.
I mean, it looked like they all tumbled down, except maybe
did.
maybe 1 or 2 like kind of cheated, but at least 3 of them took big falls down that ravine.
Well, I did have stunt.
You didn't have stunt people because it didn't look
people.
like it.
I was telling Bill that Chris Lemon, he's one of these guys that wants to. Jack Lemmon actually told me in a restaurant when he heard I was doing a movie with his son, he goes, don't take any of this shit. And then I found out, and he's a friend now, I mean, we're buddies, but he wanted to do his own stunts, like macho shit. So when he falls into, it's a stunt man that falls off the cliff, right? And then it's Chris in the water with the whistle. But about from here to that wall, there's a waterfall that's death. Not breaking your ankle or your arm or your leg, but certain death. Straight down, hundreds of feet. He didn't want to wear a harness. Because Joel kept saying he's part of the harness. And he says he didn't want to wear it. And I said, Chris, you let go of that thing and you could be dead. No, I'm holding on tight. And this part, did you direct it?
Did you let him do it?
Part of the director is like, do the common sense thing. And the other thing is, but it's so much better without the harness. And she was fighting that, get the opting, and we shot it without the harness.
Really? Okay. And your career continued.
Yeah.
As opposed to the alternative,
With the
which,
harness, people see the movie, oh, that's the harness movie?
Okay.
So,
Any other, well, you told, I don't know if you want to tell this story publicly. You told me a funny story about George Kennedy.
I could say because he's no longer.
Okay.
George, sorry. When we got him, I said, oh yeah, I like Cool Hand Luke or whatever. And I said, directing an Academy Award, to me, big deal. So they said, there's one provision, he's got to ride a horse in the movie. I said, he does that all the time. He's in westerns and everything. No, he rides, but what he can't do is get on or off the horse. I said, well, what is he going to do? Come down in the helicopter? So you can't shoot him trying to get on the horse. That was the deal. That would raise anyone's curiosity. So the night that was supposed to do it, I said to my AD, let me know when George's going on the horse. And he said, it's happening now. I said, come on. And all the way far away in the woods, there was a work light. And we snuck up. And there was 3 Teamsters, the horse guys, Teamsters. And they were holding, one guy was holding one leg, and he was holding the other leg, and they hoisted him up onto the side of his stomach. and then the horse starts going around in circles, and they're trying to get him right him up, and they finally got him sitting up. And once he's sitting up, it's like, no, and he never got off. You never.
But there is a shot where he kind of slides down off the horse. Apparently he could get off. He just couldn't get on.
He gets off in the movie?
Yeah, he slides off the horse, like right outside the hillbilly cabin.
No, he stays on the horse.
He stays on the horse.
Yeah.
I think there was one where he slides off. But we'll watch it again right now to decide. You know, but did you build that hillbilly cabin, or
We built the church.
you built the church?
Yeah, and you know when I got
It's a pretty elaborate
something
building.
that everybody here in their lifetime should do. Because you ever watched all the old westerns, and they get to a place where they can put in a western town, and the priest says, "And we'll build the church here." I got in the middle of the thing, and I went, and I did this whole bit. Everybody gather around, and we'll build the church. And they put a stake there, and boom, they built that church. They left us to the Boy Scouts.
Wow.
Yeah.
Okay. Well, do you have any? So, do you have fond memories just because of when the movie premiered?
Yeah.
Where'd the movie premiere?
Where?
Yeah. Everywhere at
All
the
I
same
can tell
time.
you is, I saw it in Florida with my grandparents, and they're like, "We're proud of you, no matter what you do." That was their review.
And did it do well?
No. Because, you know what? Here's what happened. The movie came. I never told this, but the movie. The first thing that I heard was Universal when they picked it up. And I said, "That's terrific, right?" Because they pick it up for the world, right? And who's it? Bob Ramey.
Yeah, Robert Ramey. Yeah,
Robert Ramey.
yeah. Famous
Yeah,
production
so,
executive.
So they I'm going, wow, it's a universal thing. We're going to fly out there. And then he found out that this Glotto guy was the producer. And he said, life's too short. He never, because he had a history with this guy.
With the Czechoslovakian
Yeah, yeah,
producer who had
yeah.
called you up and sounded like a mob guy on the phone.
And then that was it. They just, because of that. So, it came this close. I mean, Squirm was supposed to be Columbia Pictures. And in the sales department, they loved it. They named the price. The deal was going to happen. But a guy named Lieberman was running the studio.
David Begelman?
David,
Yeah.
yeah. And
Later caught stealing money from actors?
that guy. And it just so happened that he was going to see the movie, and he had a wife, Gladys. Gladys. And what happened was they were going to go to some fancy thing. So she's all dolled up. She's got her mink coat. They're going to see you squirm, and then they're going to go to Beverly Hills thing, right? We know this from the projections. Because she stood up. It's just the two of them thing. And when the worms go up the face and squirm, she said, "If you have anything to do with this disgusting piece of shit, I want a divorce." And I went, "Oh, okay, that's pretty good." But the deals were already written. So in both cases, could have sued.
And so you just said we're going to go out independently with it, and you
They
went
did.
region by region.
I don't have anything to do with distribution.
The company doesn't. The distribution company doesn't exist anymore. So
Yeah.
nobody really knows this story, including you apparently. So, but apparently they went around the country in a sub-distributor
Yeah,
type
you know,
way.
like
Yeah.
what do they call it? The bicycle 50 points, you know what I mean?
Yeah, where the
drive-ins.
which is why it's probably has so many different dates on it. It's
Yeah.
probably in some cities in 1980 and some in 81 and some in 82 and some in 83. There were a lot of movies like that at the time.
I'll tell you one trivial thing, that when it came out in DVD, I did a commentary. This guy owes me $100,000. This Lotto's son now. They're just crooks. Because I never got a Directors Guild penny. I got paid, but I never got a residual check. Well, not a penny. It's about $100,000 now. So what I
Those
did.
residuals stayed in Prague. Apparently.
Yeah, exactly. So what so when this other company who had nothing to do with it, they licensed it for DVD, and I said, no way, I'm not doing that. And I said, give me like $5,000. We don't pay for X. I said, why should I do it? Okay. And it was Media Blasters. I said, put
Media
it in,
Blasters.
yeah, put it in an envelope. So I wanted one of these giant box TVs, and remember those shitty, they were huge.
Rear projection.
Yeah, rear projector. And it was like J&R. I knew where it was and everything. I go. My wife stayed in the car. It was Midtown. I smoked the doob in the car. I go up the elevator. I go in there, and they said, "Do you have to see the movie?" No, just put it on. I don't know what I fucking said. But here's the thing. They gave me an envelope. We went right to J&R and bought the TV, right? And all cash. I said, it's got to be cash. Quentin Tarantino is on record of saying he hates director's commentaries because he doesn't want to give away trade secrets. He never does it himself. He says, except for one commentary, Jeff Lieberman's commentary on Just Before Dawn. That's a fact.
Oh, wow.
Someday I'm going to actually listen to it.
I know the company. I did 10 commentary tracks for Media Blasters.
Oh, yeah.
So I know the company.
Yeah.
And there was Media Blasters, and there was a company called Elite Entertainment that was run by a guy named Vinny Baccalari. And both of those companies were the kind of companies that said, you say, okay, I'll do it. When are you gonna pay me? They would say, well, you go to the studio. It's on 48th Street. You ask for the guy at the and it's like
That's what I said.
you walk up the stairs, and there'll be a guy named there, Smitty. Smitty's going to give you an envelope. And that's how I was paid. I was just like yellow envelopes.
That's a good envelope.
All right, we have any questions from the audience about Just Before Dawn? Yes.
How'd you land Blondie? Yeah. In the beginning there.
Unbelievable.
Yeah, the Blondie song.
Not only I didn't, all I told them, and this is to Laudel's credit somehow, I just said, let's get as close to what they would be listening to. I didn't care what it was, but like pop music. Like, you can tell me, that was like a number one at the time. You never, ever could do that today. It would cost as much as the movie. So, it was pre that.
Anybody else? Yeah.
Slightly less of a question, more of a statement on is it a slasher versus not a slasher. The film feels, to me personally, it's like this is the perfect bridge between Deliverance and what eventually became Wrong Turn. And where Wrong Turn very much is a slasher, this is more than that. Like there's people getting splashed for sure, but it doesn't feel like the schlockiness and the formulaic nature of Wrong Turn, which I still love that.
The guy that did Wrong Turn said that he was doing an homage to Just Before Dawn.
Yeah,
And so I think the word homage is like homage this. Nobody steals anymore. It's like you steal it's just an homage to television.
I think that what happens is once you know what the tropes are, it's time to stop making that genre. It's time to move on to the next one.
Yeah.
And so, there was no final. I used the term "final girl" when I was talking about the movie. There was no final girl. That was a term invented by Carol Clover in 1984, 85. So nobody knew the term "final girl." Nobody knew the term "slasher." Nobody knew and this is probably the biggest one of all. There had only been 2 movies, maybe 3 movies, where 5 young people on vacation go in the woods and are killed. So even that was not really a trope at the time.
That's the point.
So I'm agreeing.
This was a tropeless movie.
I have one question. Yeah, I love the movie, and first of all, the first thing I wanted to ask is, or just comment on, is the inbred guy deciding to chop down the tree. It must have taken a long time. That was a pretty thick tree. that kind of
With a machete.
Yes, that suggested like a certain kind of brain that probably well, maybe that was the only thing it could do. But my question is, where did you come up with the title Squirms?
He's a writer. Yeah, I figured worms. And what do worms do? What do they do? Let me think. You know, I actually, when I first wrote it, I wrote SKWORM because I was trying to be like, you know, cool. And my wife, well, first of all, with sperm, I read out one line to my wife, and she said a kid, and she's diapering. I couldn't afford the 25-cent diapers. I said, leave it on a little longer. And I'm writing, and I'm smoking a joint, and I'm thinking, what do you think of this? Giant thunderstorm, and the lightning hits the ground, and thousands of worms come out and take over a town, and she yells from the other, that's the stupidest idea I ever heard. And so that stupidest idea bought us our first house. You know? So when I have an idea, since then I go, what do you think of this? Say it's stupid, say it's stupid. So, is that a good answer?
Thank you. Yes, it is.
In the back over there.
What can you tell us about the guy getting fisted?
Yeah.
The arm down the throat.
Yeah, you know what it was? Again, this is like, to me, when you make this movie, people that are in the movie don't know they're in the movie. So a shitty movie to me is like they're aware that they're in the movie, you know, as an actor, right? So here's a guy that weighs like 330 pounds. Connie weighs 100, soaking wet, barefoot, hot pants, whatever. She's all along. Why does he have, and in the script that I rewrote, it says he comes out with his machete, screaming, you know, and all that. And I said, why would he do that? What's the rush? So, because I'm standing there and I couldn't say action. And my AD said, he thought I was having like a stroke. It was like, he says, Lieberman, you okay? I said, this sucks. He goes, you wrote it. I said, why would he do this? He says, I don't know. And I said, I'll tell you what he would do. So I didn't tell her. I went over to John Hunsucker, the guy. I said, listen, I'm not going to say action. You're going to be rolling. Right? And you just sneak up on her, kneel down next to her, and blow the whistle in her ear, just to scare the shit out of her, because she got all the time in the world. Right? The audience is already thinking you're going to do the worst shit. Take your time. So he goes, you're a sick fuck. And that's what you saw. She had no idea. And he goes, and she screamed. That was a real scream, and whacking her in the ass, because I said, do whatever you want. She didn't talk to me for 2 days. But she loves the movie.
Yeah.
So
Yeah.
that's yeah.
That's great.
Nice.
Maybe one more to make it a good one because
Just one thing I wanted to say, like in response to what you were talking about a slasher or non-slasher, it really reminds me of a classic Canadian film called Rituals. Hal Holbrook.
oh nice.
Yeah.
And I really got a feeling of Rituals about just being cut off from everything and being just, you know, he really captured the isolation of the woods so well. And it really, I'm not saying, you know, that they're the same film, but it just got the same type of vibe.
Yeah,
like Rituals.
I heard it, but I never saw it, so I don't know.
And you had never seen Chainsaw or Hills Have Eyes when this came out,
Never,
right?
never, to this day.
Oh, to this day. Oh, okay.
Here's the thing. Everybody would write about this, obviously influenced by Chainsaw and Hills Have Eyes. Now, I'm thinking, these guys don't check with me. How could I be influenced by something I never saw? Right? So as the years went by, I went out of my way to not see either one. And then, not that long ago, Toby Hooper, not long before he passed away, I was at Neil Marshall's, what was that, Doomsday, the big Universal picture. So I went to the after party, and Toby was there, and we finally said hello and everything. And then he says to me, who's in the back room, he says, "Is it true you never saw Chainsaw?" And I said, "Never saw it," and I'm sure it's fucking, I know it's great. I'm absolutely sure. But even if I see it now, I could never say I never saw it. I have to put an asterisk on it. Well, I never saw it then, I wasn't it. No, I don't want to fuck it up. So never, I could see like in a coma and some prick is going to come and just
All right. Thank you for being here, Jeff.
Yeah.
And thanks for everybody coming tonight. And watch the Blu-ray so you can see the real movie.
and listen to the commentary. Oh, and one Tarantino, my friend edits Fred Raskin edits Quentin's movies, and Fred told me that just before Dawn was going to play in his theater, New Beverly, and Quentin did this, and he's able to put his whole fist in his asterisk. So